Hey everyone, this is our 5th episode of our video webinar series where we will talk to successful nurse practitioner entrepreneurs who have built a practice that is making money and who have broken free from the rat race. Today we will be talking to Connie. She is an adult nurse practitioner. Currently, she's operating a successful weight loss clinic where she has surpassed the $1 million market revenue for 2023 and is continuing to grow. Hey Connie, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for hopping on here. Thanks for taking some time out of your busy day. I mean, it sounds like you're a very, very busy person.
Yeah, that is an understatement for sure.
Yeah, good. So tell me about where you're at here. So you opened up this weight loss clinic last year, 2023. You surpassed $1 million in revenue. Yeah. Walk me through this. How'd you get there?
Yeah. I've been a nurse practitioner since 2002. So I've been at it for a long time, really primarily working in neurosurgery and chronic pain management, which, can have its advantages and a little burnout going on there. Ultimately, I just got a friend introduced me to the Facebook group with Elite NP, and I started looking at it and, kind of reflecting back on my entire career. All of the nurses I ever worked with in my NP career had always asked me, why don't you just go do your own thing? I will come and work for you, and I'm originally from Iowa. So we have full practice authority there. Definitely would have been something I would have done much earlier in my career, but I'm currently in Texas. And so I just didn't think it was possible until I started reading the Elite Nurse Practitioner Facebook feed, started reading some of the articles that you had posted, and just really started to let my imagination run with maybe I really can do this. And so what really kind of took me over the edge is I was at the time working for interventional pain and surgery practice that turned out to be a little bit shady in their practices. And they were asking me to do some things that I just wasn't comfortable with that consisted of some like Medicare fraud. And so when I declined doing all of these extra tests and, putting false diagnostic codes on patients, I got fired. So in my 20-something year career, I got fired. And
I'm going to pause you just real quick. I just want to make sure, so this is the crazy thing. A lot of people out there think a cash-based practice is going to be higher risk than an insurance-based practice or something like that. And it's the exact opposite. You're not committing fraud with a cash-based practice because you're only taking money from the patient. You're not taking money from the government.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that was it. And so, and it was, the midst of COVID. So it was November of 21 that I opened my LLC. And I just, of course, at that point, I was in panic mode. I had already reached out to another hospital group for a job. So they were creating the position to hire me. And I did end up going and working there full time while I was trying to develop this kind of on the side. On my own. And so 22 comes around and, within the first month I had patients. And so it just literally month after month after month, my revenue was growing. It wasn't a peak and a dip. It was a constant, steady climb.
So you've been open for about 2 years then? About?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, continued to work full time. And actually up until last week was my first week that I actually cut back to part-time hours.
Wait a second. You have $1 million practice and you're still working.
Yes, I know. My financial advisors asked me the same thing, which Why? I never in my life thought I'd have a financial advisor, but here I am.
Why? Why?
I'm older, so I will be 58 next month. And just the whole thing of insurance and life insurance and not knowing what the future holds with the weight loss, but I said that to my financial advisor and his response was, okay, let's just think about it. People are going to all of a sudden start not wanting to lose weight anymore. And I'm like, oh, you put it that way. Okay.
Weight loss.
We can cut back to part-time.
Weight loss clinics have been around for 30 years. They're not going anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, even if for some reason GLP-1, semaglutide, or Zepatide, whatever, just disappear, you're just going to go back to the old stuff, you know, phentermine and things like that. Like, you know,
Right. So yeah, I've just hung on a little bit and just being a little conservative and a little fear still. But you know, every month after month after month continues to grow. And so I just feel so blessed and so fortunate that I came upon the group.
Yeah. Did you take any Elite NP courses?
I did. I probably have, I don't know, how many do you have out?
I don't know, 30 something, 40.
I probably have at least 20, to be honest. So the first one I got was the telemed course, because again, it was right in the midst of COVID and I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do. And so I got that one and that just didn't really pan out. Then I got the medical marijuana course because I am still licensed in Iowa. And so that was an option to do that. And I got maybe a handful of calls and I didn't ever even market it. I didn't have a website, nothing. It was just word of mouth. And then, you know, the semaglutide came into my world and changed my life 100% on my weight loss struggles. And so I just knew, you know, that I had to share this with people. And the very first actual patient that I had, it was such a refreshing change from the chronic pain management drug seeking to somebody who really was very grateful and very motivated to, you know, continue with our services.
So do you think that because you have had this personal experience that it's allowed you to get as successful as you have? Do you think that's part of it?
I do. I for sure do. So, you know, as the years have evolved, so I started, you know, before it hit all the social media hype with the weight loss, the GLP injection medications. So I was really spending a lot of my visits with kind of selling it or trying to talk to people about, you know, why this is, you know, the newest, greatest thing. And now it's everybody already kind of knows and that's what they want. So that's not so much what I need to do during my time. Also, there's a lot of competition. So everybody wants to be a part of this. I think every, you know, for good or bad, every new grad NP, you know, kind of has this on their list. And so I know that there's a lot of competition out there, and how I feel like I'm so successful is absolutely knocking it out of the park with being very personal with people and service.
Yeah. I think those are two big things. I think that if you can personally relate to your customer, patient, customer, it doesn't matter what it is. Like I can relate to NPs. I'm an NP who started a business, right? I can relate to you guys, right? I can relate to my men's health clinic patients. I'm on testosterone replacement therapy. I've been on testosterone replacement therapy for 5 years. You know what I mean? I can relate to them. I understand. You are on semaglutide. You lost weight. You can relate to the struggle, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that is so important. If you can't relate to your customer, it's very hard to build that trust and to be genuine. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah. And then service too, the customer service, right? I mean, you have to have amazing customer service. If you don't, good luck. You know, if you're using VAs, virtual assistants in the Philippines who can barely speak English, good luck. You're not going to build $1 million practice probably. It's probably not going to happen. Or are you using VAs from the Philippines?
No.
Okay. All right. Right.
No. So to go back, I kind of got off track there, I guess, but to go back to the courses. So I got the mobile one, I got the medical marijuana. And then of course, the next one I got was the weight loss course.
Yeah.
I also have the peptide and IV infusion courses. I have the women's health, advanced women's health, and all the men's health.
Wow. Okay. And I'm assuming they helped.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I never was a boss. I never owned a business before. And so all of those were big learning curves as well. Like I know the healthcare, I know the prescribing, I know how to treat patients. The business aspects of it were probably the biggest learning curve.
Right. Well, being a boss and being a business owner, I'm sorry, but I can't teach you how to be an actual business owner. Like you got to just do it. Right. I mean, you just do. There's no shortcut to it. Like you can get the knowledge, you can buy course after course, book after book, you can listen to podcast after podcast, but unless you actually take action and do it and start learning as you go, there's no other way to do it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. And, I did get hung up on some of the, a few stumbling blocks were putting my website together. Like it took me forever to put that content together. And I was stuck in that analysis paralysis for a couple of months before I finally was able to be like, okay, this is it. I can change it later if I need to. But yeah, for sure. You just have to pull the trigger and do it. And I guess I was kind of in a position where I was in a way forced to, because I had lost my job and I had this like big shakeup in my world of, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But in hindsight, it's all been just a huge blessing.
Sometimes a negative event like that is what pushes you to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have been perfectly content working for the big machine and, paying in my retirement and dreaming about Florida when I'm, 75, when I'm finally able to stop,
So the amount of money that you've made in the last 2 years, the profit you've made from this, from this business, how long would it have taken you to make that being employed?
I never would have at my age.
Never would have.
I wouldn't have.
Mm-mm. Right. Yep. Your margins are probably what, 40%?
About 50%.
50%. So, we don't got to go over numbers. People can do the numbers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like 50% margins on, over 7 figures. Like like how long would it have taken you to save $500,000 being an employed nurse practitioner? Tell me. Wouldn't have happened. Right. There's just no way. Yeah. So good for you. So you got a financial advisor now and like you got money problems. Like you have money. You're like, okay, now I got some problems here. What do I do with this?
Right. And never thought those words would come out of my mouth. Like, what do I do with this money? So I have an accountant, I have a financial advisor, which, I know you've advised before that might not be the smartest use of your money, but in the moment, I needed some help finding a retirement plan. I needed some help with, navigating a life insurance plan and some of those things. So
the financial advisor situation that you have, is like a fee-based one or is it more of a commission-based one? Are they taking a percentage or are you paying them just hourly or something?
So it's been a commission up to this year, since my money has grown so substantially. I now have him it's kind of like a retainer as an attorney. So I paid an annual fee and then he just manages all of it.
Okay. So for anyone listening and for advice to you too, is try to avoid commission-based financial advisors because 0.5%, 1% might not sound like a lot, but when you compound that over 5 to 10 years and as your money grows, it turns out to be a lot of money, lots of money. Yeah. So
that's why they're wealthy.
Exactly. Right. But yeah, just pay them flat rate, pay them hourly or retainers or whatever. Like that's my financial advisor. I just call a couple times a year, I pay him hourly. He's $500 an hour or whatever it is, but it's worth it, Yeah. So what's the most profitable thing in your business here? I mean, obviously the semaglutide, tirzepatide. So I guess walk us through kind of how the last 2 years have progressed. So did you start off with like a little small office? Have you moved into a bigger office at this point? Kind of just walk us through your journey over the last 2 years.
Yeah. So when I opened the LLC in November, I had nothing. I had my house and my car basically, and my computer and my phone. And then in January, I decided to contact a chiropractor in this town that I'm in and asked to do a shared space agreement. And so I paid him monthly $500 a month to use his clinic for evenings and weekends primarily because I had to work around him. So that went on until July of last year. And so I, was steadily growing because I was still employed full time. The nights and weekends were okay, but there were some times that I really felt like I don't want to be confined to just nights and weekends. So I decided to leave that arrangement, and I leased a space just down the road of my own.
Was moving from the chiropractor's office to your own space probably one of the better things that you did?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it kind of triggered other events. So again, listening to your advice, I realized, okay, if I'm going to have a brick and mortar location, but I'm at work all the time and nobody's there, this isn't good. This is not a good look for a business. If I have the door locked and the lights off all the time, or the door locked and lights are off all the time, what is this?
Right.
So I hired my first employee. And so that was a big learning curve, of course, just to take on the tax stuff and the payroll stuff and just all of the regulatory things of employing someone. So got that going. And then pretty soon the social media, I do pretty much 90% of my marketing through Facebook. And I just could not keep up with it at all. So I hired, actually it's my niece, but I hired her to help me handle the social media. And she is now a full-time employee of mine. She's my director of operations.
Okay.
So she's helping me with the HR, the employment stuff, make the call to the electrician or change the locksmith, what have you. She handles all of that.
Yeah. Okay.
So moving from the chiropractor to my own brick and mortar location also then, spun off to me hiring employees, which allowed me to grow even further.
How many employees do you have now?
I currently have, I have to count, 7.
7 employees. Any nurse practitioners, or are you just the only nurse practitioner?
I have 2 nurse practitioners.
Yeah. Okay. So anyone who's listening to this and is kind of maybe at the beginning stages of their business, or maybe he's stuck, you have to hire other people if you want to have a 7-figure business. You're just going to. You have to accept that fact. There's no way you could do this by yourself.
No. So what my life is, I'm on my phone 24/7, just responding to Facebook messages. And my husband just said, that is it. You've got to put that phone down. And it really did become a bit of an issue. And that's when I pulled the trigger to hire my niece to help me with that aspect of it. So I could put my phone down. And then, the others came in play when we had the location.
So you're making a lot of money now. So let me ask you, you're making more now than you probably ever have in your life. Are you working more or are you working less?
It depends on, because I'm still employed.
Right.
So I'm probably working more just because of the aspect of it doesn't ever leave my brain.
Yeah.
I've always got that going on, or I've always got, something that I've got to put in place, or a new service to think about or learn about. But it's much more enjoyable. I'm doing it for myself. I'm not doing it for, that group over there.
Right. If you weren't working part-time though, you'd probably be working a lot less though, right?
A lot less. So again, just because last week I cut back to part-time, I had Fridays off. So here I am on a Friday. I've got the day, I could do what I want. I have employees handling my patient care. I have employees handling the phones and the messaging.
Right.
Yeah.
You're saying you're talking to me. You should be out doing something. Hell.
Yes.
Yeah. You're approaching $1 million in investments, and you're working 4 days a week. You're still working part-time. You could quit that if you wanted to, probably,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if you weren't doing that, you'd be working what, 2-3 days a week?
Yeah. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see that I have more, now that I do have more time during the week, as I had cut back to part-time hours, if that kind of triggers another growth spurt in my business. It will. Because I'm able to be more involved and be more attentive.
It will. Absolutely. Yeah. If you quit that job, you would make up that money within months. I guarantee it. You'd be able to focus all of your energy on your business and you'd really be in growth scale mode. So I'm gonna side with your financial advisor here. Quit that job. Like, why?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I'm guilty of it too. Okay. I mean, I had 7-figure businesses as well, and I'm still working at this urgent care, seeing strep throats and runny noses. Like,
Yeah.
why am I doing this still?
Right.
Like I left, and I'll be honest with you, like nothing changed in my life in terms of like financial stability. Nothing changed whatsoever. I got back time.
Yeah.
And insurance, all that stuff. Listen, you go pay $1,500 a month for it. Big deal. It's a tax write-off. Like,
Right. Right. Yeah. And I may get to a point that I have to offer that to my employees too, if I keep growing in that aspect of
yeah,
it. So
yeah,
that's something he's looking at right now. And then the other thing that came of all of this is my husband was able to leave his job as an electrician. And we recently purchased commercial property in a neighboring town, and he's building and opening a craft brewery.
nice.
So yeah. So
Yeah,
he's living his dream, and yeah.
yeah, cool. So he's gonna like brew the beer. He's gonna do all
Mhm.
that, come up with all the different recipes and everything.
All of that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Right? It's all a write-off.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So,
Yeah, yeah. So for you,
mhm.
what's your growth plan here? So what's Connie's life over the next year? Like, what do you think?
So if like real raw numbers, so last year we closed at, I think it was like 1.25 million. And this year our hope, our goal is probably 3 to 5.
Wow. Okay.
Why not? Each month is bigger than the previous month. And
Hey.
you
Yeah.
know, and I keep thinking, okay, January's big because of weight loss. Well, my February numbers are beating my January numbers so far
Already.
already.
Wow.
So, and that's what the pattern was all of last year and the year before, like continually, because we've got our, repeat patients, and then we keep having, we probably schedule 15 to 20 new patients a day.
My goodness.
Mm-hmm.
It's all cash based. You don't take insurance.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Right. I mean, you're making more money, a lot more money than some insurance-based specialty practice where they're just churning patients out every 15 minutes. 4 doctors are employed. Like, what would you rather do?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
no brainer, right?
Right.
Like, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's crazy. So typically what you do see in most situations where you're in business growth stage, okay, you're putting, you're investing back into the business, hiring staff, implementing new services, new locations, website redo, whatever it is that you're doing, you're reinvesting money back into the business. Typically what happens is that you will see a 1.5 to 2x of revenue year after year. And so if you did 1.2 last year, I agree with you, 3 should be realistic this year,
Yeah.
if not more. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
and then the year after that would be probably 5 or 6. I mean, it should work out that way. It's typically how it works, as long as you're staying on top of it. You're not getting content and just sitting back and letting things go, So,
Yeah.
So hell, I mean, you're talking about, 50% margins here. Connie going to retire in the next 3 or 4 years? What are you thinking?
I mean, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe retire, but like just be the business owner, have
Right.
have the employees, have my director of operations handle all the HR stuff and the employee stuff. And, yeah, I'm going to dabble a little here and there, but I could be doing that from anywhere in the world. So,
Anywhere you want.
Yeah.
Anywhere you want. That's how my men's health clinic is. I spend a whole 2 to 4 hours a week on it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And again, taking the lead from you is getting the processes in place, and then, and establishing the relationships and the reputation. So I market to the entire state of Texas and also Iowa. So I have 2 states. I've thought about branching to maybe a 3rd or a 4th. But I haven't had the time to even think about doing it yet.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what the projection is.
Yeah. Yeah. So marketing wise, because a lot of people listening to this are like, well, what did Connie do? I want to know what Connie did. So Facebook, literally 90% of your marketing has been on Facebook.
It is. And so, initially it was super easy. I could post pictures. I could put a photo of a syringe and a vial. Now you can't do that anymore. I could say the words. Now you can't do that anymore. So, what I did is I just kept redoing my ads, like just changing the words up, putting a cartoon picture of a syringe rather than an actual photo of a syringe. And that worked one time. And, putting a little dot in between each of the letters worked one time. Just trying to find ways that, they took that one. Great. Let's go with it. And so and again, Justin, I got to sing your praises. Taking the lead of all of that money is in marketing. All of the money that I put back in the business, not all of it. Of course, I have my employees and so forth, but I'd say easily 75% of the profit goes back into marketing.
So it is your number one expense, like I talked about.
100%.
Yeah. There's no way you would be where you're at unless you made marketing your number one expense, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So doing the Facebook ads, I'm spending $135 a day.
That's not that much though, really.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about, if it brought one patient, I just paid for it.
Right.
But I'm doing 20 patients a day.
Right. So you're spending over $10,000 a month on Facebook ads alone.
Mm-hmm.
Are you advertising anywhere else or is that it?
I actually do currently have a radio ad going just because it was a promotion with our local chamber of commerce. And then they sales pitched me into a radio ad. It's a 1 year long contract, but I can cancel after 90 days. I have had a handful of patients that came in and said that they heard us on the radio. I think that the advantage that I've seen is it kind of adds legitimacy in a way.
Yeah.
So I've done that. I'm really involved with like the local chamber of commerce and doing those events and having sponsorships on a lot of the programs that they run, just for the local group. The Google reviews, I have not done a Google ad. I probably need to do a Google ad, but I have not.
You should give it a shot. I mean, if you spend a couple $1,000 a month on Google ads, I guarantee you're going to get some patients from it. I guarantee it. Google can be a little complex. Like you can just create a simple Google search ad. Okay. That's really easy. Anyone can do that. But if you want to get really in depth with it and have your ads through the entire Google ad network, like, you open up your Weather Channel app or something and you see apps on there, like that's all going through Google and stuff. Okay. So if you want to do something like that, usually it's ideal to hire a marketer who has that technical expertise. Like you still write the ad copy and everything, but they have the technical expertise to get all that set up and dialed in. So that's usually money well spent, just FYI.
Yeah. And it probably will be like, I'll let the radio ad kind of run its course, for the 90 days. And then I'll probably shift that money over to doing the Google ads instead.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. So a lot of it's been word of mouth too, I'm sure.
Word of mouth. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think the reviews, I have a lot of people that contact us and say, there's a whole bunch of places out there. I've been looking for a while, but I read your reviews and that's what got me.
So,
and then we sell them, we hook them, and then we bring them in, reel them in with just the service that we provide.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I'm sure you probably listen to some of the podcasts, but like I talk about all the time, like you have to have your Google business listing and you have to have as many reviews as you possibly can on there.
Yeah.
How much business do you get from that? It's free too.
Yeah. So the next kind of hurdle I've come across, and, this is just kind of a helpful hint for anybody that's kind of growing or in a rapid growth phase. The first phone system I used was text free. And that was like a one-person thing. And that isn't going to work. So then text free is owned by Index. So currently we have Index and it's okay, but they limit you to 5 people on that line. So just those kinds of things are some of the challenges that I've come up against that just drives me crazy. But we're currently in a meeting to port our number over to Spruce.
Yeah. A lot of people like Spruce. I've had A lot of people like Spruce and Ring RX. Those are two pretty popular ones. Some people don't have a good experience with Ring RX. Some people do. Same thing with Spruce. It's gonna be one of those things you're gonna have to just try it out. But as an established business owner with lots of clients and you're making money and stuff, it's pretty anxiety producing switching your phone, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So the one thing is, okay, I need to hire another nurse practitioner, but now I'm maxed out on my phone line. So how do I do this? So that has just been driving me crazy.
Right. A simple thing like a phone line should not limit your growth.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Figure it out, person I hired.
Yeah. So I want to ask you one more question before I ask you kind of the final questions. So your collaborator. So there is a very, very strong limiting belief out there amongst nurse practitioners in restricted states. I'm guilty of it too. I was in a restricted state. And the reason why I never started my own practice was because of that limiting belief of getting a supervisor, collaborator. I was like, it's going to be so hard to find one, blah, 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 right? When in reality, it's really not. So what would be your piece of advice or maybe a little motivational, nugget for those people that are in a restricted state that are scared to start their business because of that one little hangup?
So that one little hangup amounts to having a relationship with a supervising physician, whether it's somebody you already know and have worked with, or just somebody random that you hire off of Index or something. You have the conversation, you pay a monthly fee, their name and number is on your stuff, and that's pretty much it.
Right. Which it's really not that big of a deal, right?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Right.
I do feel blessed. I have a great one. I have Alex Spinozo, and he's very responsive. Anytime I call or text, he's right there for me. But really, it's been more business related things, and just Texas Medical Board. Oh, I need to up my hours under your name. Is that okay? That type of thing. It's like nothing.
Right. It's all administrative regulatory stuff for the most part. You know what I mean? Like if you are a brand new nurse practitioner coming out of school and have no experience, you probably need a supervisor or something. You probably need someone to help you learn, as you go. But you've been a nurse practitioner for how many years?
20 plus.
You know what you're doing at this point.
Yeah.
Come on, Yeah. So, cool. Listen, I like to end these things with asking you two questions. So the first question is, what piece of advice would you give to the nurse practitioner who is in the dreaming stage of, starting a business? Like they haven't started the business yet, but they're thinking about it. Then the second question is going to be, what piece of advice would you give the established nurse practitioner entrepreneur who wants to get to that 7-figure, goal? So the first one is the dreamer. What piece of advice would you give them?
Really dive into the Elite Nurse Practitioner, to be honest with you. I feel like I followed the model, almost to a T. So started the business still with a full-time income, and that allowed me to, just kind of put my toe in the water and see what happened. Well, then all of a sudden there's money coming in. Well, now what do I do with this? Reinvest, so I didn't invest a lot of upfront money, but just pull the trigger and do it.
Yeah. You talk about the Elite NP model, like maintaining a job, starting a very low overhead business, like keeping your debt minimum, like, right? Those things.
Yeah. Like if it all went away, if I couldn't do it, or if it just fell apart and wasn't successful, what did I lose? A little bit of my time.
A little bit of your time and a little bit of money.
Maybe a couple $100.
Right. You didn't take $100,000 business loan out.
Right. So, so why not just try it and see what happens? Right.
Give it a try. The worst you're at, a few $100, $5,000. It don't take more than $10,000 to get one of these things up and going. Right. It just really doesn't. Which little side question, how much money did you put into this when you first got started?
I'd say about $3,000.
$3,000. So a $3,000 investment has turned into over $1 million.
Yes. And that was a couple hundred for the LLC and my website.
Right. And then everything else was just money coming in, telemedicine, and you just invested it back in the business and grew it. Right. So a $3,000 investment, folks, in over $1 million. You are not going to get that kind of return anywhere. Yeah. Nowhere. It doesn't exist. Like, it just doesn't exist. Like, you're not going to get that kind of return anywhere, right? So, cool. Okay, so the second question then. So for the NP who's kind of, in the thralls of their business, they're wanting to grow it. Maybe they're making, $10,000 a month or something. Maybe they're at a plateau, or they just don't know where to go next. What piece of advice would you give them?
I mean, for anybody that's in the weight loss arena, I guess is one of the things I can really speak to, because we are able to do so much of this mobile. I would say expand your reach on your marketing, if that's possible. Hire people. You're not going to be able to grow. Our hours during the day are limited, and so you can only do so much yourself. And where I really saw the growth was when I hired.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't keep up. And I was scheduling 2 weeks, 3 weeks out. And I know, and especially nowadays, that's what everybody is doing, and everybody's clinic shopping. They're going to call the next one. If I can't get them in within a couple of days, they're moving on.
100%. People have a very, very short attention span. If you cannot help them within days, say bye to that patient. They're gone. Yep. They're going somewhere else. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I guess the big drivers here that I'm hearing on why you got so successful, really, from more of a process standpoint, is that you've hired multiple people to offload work and to make sure that it's a legitimate business. Someone calls, someone answers the phone.
Yes.
Someone walks up to that office, someone's going to be there. I mean, within hours, you know what I mean? Right?
Yes.
And the second one is you spent money marketing.
Yep. That's it.
That's the two big drivers right there. Yeah. It's not rocket science.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's it. And every time I think about it too, because you got to get your little, like, what in the world am I doing? What have I just accomplished? Truly goes back to everything that I learned through you.
Yeah. Well, it was a pleasure to help. I love hearing success stories like that. Like, I'm sitting here at my house, I'm just like having a beer, watching golf with my son or whatever, I'm just like, I can't believe there's people out there that listen to me that are now millionaires. Like,
right.
Whoa, it just blows my mind. Like, I'm in a blessed situation. I was able to help a lot of people. So, yeah.
It's truly appreciate it.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, listen, I appreciate your time for hopping on here. And I really hope this, helps people listening to this. You're a true inspiration. I mean, you truly are an elite NP. You're in the top 1% of nurse practitioners. No question about it.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. All right. Bye.